Joining me is Dr. Tom Royer, IPM coordinator at O.S.U. Tom, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me, Kim. I appreciate it.
Well, I get a lot of questions about fleas and ticks, and that's why I invited you here today to talk about these pests. People are always wondering how they can manage them in the landscape and reduce some of the problems we have with these insects.
I think the first thing you need to think about when you want to manage either of those pests is to take care of what they're doing, on your pets, because they need a blood meal, and they're usually getting that from your pet in order to reproduce. So the very first thing is to make sure that your pet's comfortable, that you're keeping them from building up and causing a problem with your pet. Be the first line of defense against them. At that point in time, then it's a question of maybe doing some things in the landscape to reduce them from being a problem, and protecting yourself too, because as you know, with ticks, they can be a problem for us as well in terms of potentially transmitting diseases.
Absolutely. Now, when we're looking at the landscape, what are some techniques we could do to try to reduce their populations?
Well, if you have pets, you probably realize that a cat or a dog, they have certain favorite areas that they like to lounge around, lay around in. And so those are the areas where particularly fleas are going to hang around, because the adult fleas are mobile, but the larvae have to feed off of the dead skin and things like that from the pet. So they're going to be in those areas where the pet spends a lot of time. And in the landscape, if you needed to do any spot treating with any kind of insecticide or a residual insecticide or a growth regulator, that would be the place to focus those areas. The other things is just general, keeping a good landscape around, making sure that you don't have a lot of weeds that are growing up all over. I guess what we would call don't let a lot of unnecessary vegetation be around. You got a lot of beautiful things around, but don't let things that you don't need around. Keep your lawn mowed short. That will help with chigger problems as well as fleas. It gives them less of a place to hide. It allows the sun to get down and maybe heat things up a little bit and cause a little more mortality. And that works as well with ticks, because they like to crawl up and attach themselves to people by being up off the ground a little bit. Okay,
so one of the primary ways that ticks move onto our bodies is they crawl up from the grass, is that right?
Yeah, they like to hang on to vegetation of any kind, and that's how they detect things that are moving by, and they'll attach to them by crawling up on vegetation, and they can detect CO2 that's being given off by a potential host. So they'll crawl on. They can also get up on trees and drop down on people as they're walking by. So it's important to protect yourself, and one of the ways to do that is to wear long sleeve shirts and long pants, and take your socks. I know it looks goofy, but take your socks and pull them up on the outside of your pants so that the ticks can't crawl around and get underneath your pant legs.
Up your pant legs.
And it's a lot easier to see them if you have light colored clothing. Unlike this black shirt, I wouldn't be able to see ticks that are crawling up, but if you can wear light colored clothing, long sleeves, protect yourself. And then use repellents, especially around your feet and those areas, and any areas that might be exposed. That will at least reduce the chance that ticks will get attached to you.
Now, of course, if they do get attached, one of the concerns are some of the diseases they carry, Lyme's disease or Rocky Mountain spotted fever. What do we do if we happen to get a tick attached to us?
Well, first is learning how to remove them effectively. The last thing you want to do is grab their body and try and pull them out by grabbing their body, because the first thing they're going to do is vomit up everything that they have in their system back into your body. So we usually like to suggest using tweezers or something and getting or forceps and getting right to the base where they're attached to the skin, and using steady pressure pull out the whole tick so that you finally remove it. Make sure that the mouth parts are removed once you've pulled it off. Then another suggestion is to go to your calendar. I think we talked about this earlier. Put them on a piece of tape and put it on the day that you collected that tick off of there, so that if you have any health symptoms, rashes, or any kind of weird things that are happening around that bite, you have the tick that's still available that can be identified, and I guess even could be tested to see if it's carrying any of the disease organisms that cause Rocky Mountain spotted fever or Lyme disease. And it's really important to if you think you have those, to get checked by a doctor right away.
Right.
The sooner the sooner you can get treated, the more effective it's going to be, especially for Lyme's disease.
Yeah, absolutely. So overall, it seems the best way for managing fleas and ticks is on the person or on the pet. We're going to have the greatest
On the
efficiency
person,
with
on
that.
the pest, and listen to you every week, and learn how to keep a good landscape around so that you're keeping things clean and good mulches and everything, not creating habitat for ticks and fleas.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today.
All right, thank you.